Chapter 1829. Tell the company to release a statement saying that Mo Schweiger's drug use is purely personal. She's currently on vacation and everything she does has nothing to do with the company. Yes, sir. An hour later, the Hua Corporation's PR department released a statement. It was obvious that it was done by a team. It was a very official statement. The general idea was that Mo Schweiger's drug use was her own business. President Hua didn't know about it, nor did the company. Now Mo Schweiger had no way out of this. Everyone kicked a man who was down. All the actresses who used to hate Mo Schweiger, no matter how low their ranks were, all came out to take advantage of Mo Schweiger's popularity. They bombarded Mo Schweiger with all kinds of insults and revelations. There was so much information that it was hard to tell the truth from the lies. Jian Tong received the most attention. As Imperial Star's #1 actress, she naturally wouldn't be let off the hook by the media. Jian Tong was on her way home from supper when she was surrounded by a large group of reporters. She got out of her Rolls-Royce Phantom and walked elegantly in her 7-inch heels. Miss Jian, what do you think about Mo Schweiger's drug use? I'm sorry, I don't know Miss Mo that well. I won't take advantage of her when she's in the limelight or step on her when she's in trouble. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I really don't have any news to report. Miss Jian, Mo Schweiger is now in deep trouble. No one in the domestic entertainment industry can surpass your status, right? What's Imperial Star's next step? I'm sorry, I really don't know. I'm just following the company's orders. Thank you, everyone. Surprisingly, Jian Tong kept a low profile this time. She didn't take advantage of the situation or use it as a publicity stunt. After walking through the crowd of reporters, Jian Tong opened the door and entered her room. Her assistant immediately took her bag and jacket from her hands. Tong, I think we can use this opportunity to create some publicity. Why do you have to keep a low profile? We've missed such a good opportunity. Plus, Mo Schweiger used to bully you. It's normal for you to expose something. I don't think she can make a comeback. Didn't you see that the Hua Corporation cut ties with her? What do you know? I don't want to keep a high profile. Don't you know that the bird that sticks out gets shot? Besides, President Su doesn't like high-profile women. After speaking, Jian Tong turned around and headed upstairs, leaving the assistant speechless. It seemed Miss Jian hadn't given up on her feelings for President Su. The next morning Hua Min woke up from his sleep. He was still in a daze and had not fully regained consciousness. Qin Chu planted a kiss on her forehead. Last night the two of them did it for half the night. Hua Min felt that she was exhausted after giving birth. Her back was so sore that she couldn't get out of bed. President Hua, wake up. It's time for you to go to work. President Nick, are you really going to exploit your subordinates like this? Hua Min chuckled. I'm not exploiting my subordinates. You think too highly of me. I'm just a house husband who relies on my wife to make money. My job is to take care of the children, cook and massage my wife's shoulders. Okay Mr. Qin, you win. Hua Min knew that Qin Chu cherished the time he spent with them. After she got up, she suddenly thought of something and asked with a smile, how much did the Hua Corporation's shares fall this morning? 7%, and it's still falling. Perfect, let's see if Hua Xiqian can still sit still. Hua Min felt much better after her first counterattack. She hated seeing Hua Xiqian's smug face the most. Don't worry, this is just the beginning. His expression will get better and better. Qin Chu smiled slightly. He had the aura of a king that only a victor would have. Hua Min felt like the king-like man that she loved deeply was back. Please, don't look at me like that, I can't take it. Qin Chu looked at Hua Min gently and slowly approached her. Chapter 1830. Hey Mr. Qin, it's so early in the morning. Is it really okay for you to flirt with your wife? Hua Min laughed as he backed away. Good morning. The light is good and you're in good shape. Hua Min couldn't resist Mr. Qin and was once again pushed onto the big, soft bed. An hour later Hua Min looked at his watch and exclaimed, Oh my god, it's 7:30 a.m. It's all your fault. I'm going to be late for work. After saying that, she got up and hurriedly began to wash up. When she came downstairs, Uncle Li was about to say, A young lady, breakfast is ready. I'm not eating. I'm going to be late for work. After saying that, he rushed out of the door. Qin Chu, on the other hand, came downstairs leisurely. He was wearing a black long-sleeved shirt with white cuffs and collar. He looked very handsome. Good morning, Daddy, Little Bean greeted him sweetly. Good morning, little bean. Wow, Daddy, you're so good. You can always tell me from my sister. Little Bean continued to flatter him. Pudding held a glass of water and looked at Little Bean helplessly. Because Daddy knows that you're the one who's good at flattering, not me, Little Bean. Babies, do you have any plans today? Is there anywhere you want to go? Daddy can be your chauffeur and bodyguard. Anything. As long as I'm with Daddy, anywhere is good. Little Bean ignored Pudding and continued to act cute. What about you? Pudding, do you have any good ideas? Daddy, you don't have to be with us every day. We know that you're busy with work. Pudding said sensibly. No, Daddy has time to be with you even if he's busy. Daddy will slowly make it up to you and your mommy for the past 4 years. Speaking of mommy, I have something to say. Little Bean raised her hand. Go ahead. Chin Chu smiled dotingly. Daddy, can you control yourself? Mommy woke up late and couldn't eat breakfast. It's not good for her health. We understand that you want a second child, but don't go too far. Chin Chu was speechless. Daddy, don't mind her. Little Bean is dirty. Pudding looked calm as if she was used to Little Bean's way of talking. I'm not dirty, I'm just stating facts. Plus, I actually support Daddy and Mommy to be more loving and have a second child. That way I'll have a helper to deal with Pudding in the future. I don't want her to be the only boss. Babies, let's not talk about this for now. Your mommy gave me a mission this morning. I'm going to see Ms. E today. We're going to see Ms. E again. Both of our piano skills are maxed out. Little Bean was in disbelief. Daddy, I think we can learn something else. We've already maxed out on the piano. Why don't you find us a zither teacher, a pipa teacher, a bamboo flute teacher, or a drum teacher? That would be even better. No, your mommy said that your piano skills are too streamlined. There's no emotion, it's all technique. So this needs to be corrected. I'm not asking you to learn piano to show off your skills. I'm asking you to learn how to express your feelings. When you grow up, no matter if you're happy or not, you can use the sound of the piano to express your feelings. It's a magical thing. Daddy, you sound so professional. Are you also a piano expert? Little Bean asked. Chapter 1831. I know a little, but I'm not as good as your mommy. She can play a difficult song like Memories of Don Juan, Chin Chu said modestly. Yay. Then when we go to the piano room we can play a duet with Daddy. What do you think? No problem. As long as you guys are willing. Chin Chu smiled. After a hearty breakfast, Chin Chu took his daughter to the piano room. Huimin drove her Audi R8 to work. Luckily there wasn't much traffic so she wasn't late. Otherwise it would be really awkward if she was late. Good morning, President Hua. In the morning meeting, the executives all stood up to greet her. In the past 3 years, Huimin had done a great job. Now no one dared to look down on this young girl in her 20s. President Hua, this is the year-end plan of our marketing department. Please take a look. President Hua, the small high-rise project in Blue Mountain Shangyu has officially started. Fundraising will begin next week. You have to go there and cut the ribbon. The government seems to be taking this project seriously, and the citizens are very interested in it. President Hua, the new season of jewelry has been released. However, perhaps the market is tired so the pre-sales aren't very good. Should we continue to promote the new products, or should we change the spokesperson? President Hua, this is a sample of the new product provided by a supplier in Malaysia. We've already had someone appraise it. The material is high quality but the price is a little high. Should we continue to work with them? Or should we look for a new supplier? That morning, Huimian read through a lot of documents and dealt with a lot of difficult problems. After the morning meeting, she walked into her office. Bella made a glass of milk for Huimin. President Hua, here's your milk. Thank you. Huimin rubbed her temples and took the glass of milk. She had developed the habit of drinking milk in the early years when she and Chin Chu had just gotten married. Chin Chu had always wanted a baby, so every time he came to the company he would ask his assistant Xiao Yang to make milk for Huimin. Huimin had gotten used to drinking coffee over time. Now Huimin felt that he was no longer used to drinking coffee. President Hu. Yang walked in dressed in a suit. Today Xiao Yang was no longer an assistant, but a senior executive in the administrative department. He had done an excellent job and had a lot of prestige in the company. What is it? It's a private matter. Can you tell me? Yang smiled. Are you going to ask for leave? I've been busy lately. I won't approve it. Huimian smiled willfully. No, I know you're busy at the end of the year. How could I ask for leave? It's like this. Isn't President Qin back? I heard that his leg was injured, so I asked my relatives in the mountains to get me some good beef bones. I was going to make soup for Qin Chu. I was going to give it to him myself, but he hasn't been coming to the company lately, so I decided to bring it back for you. Then Yang placed the bag on Huamin's desk. President Qin and I thank you. Huamin's eyes were filled with warmth. These employees were really considerate. Yang had been with Qin Chu for a long time, so naturally he had a special relationship with him. Yang was actually very good as an assistant, but Huamin was a woman, so it wasn't convenient for her to go on business trips. That was why Bella was appointed as Yang's assistant and Huamin made an exception to promote him. Huamin remembered all of this and he had worked very hard for the past 3 years. But don't be so polite with me. I can't even repay you and President Qin's kindness. If it weren't for you, I would still be an insignificant employee. Okay, it's not Thanksgiving today, don't be so sentimental. I'll take the gift and have the kitchen make it for Mr. Qin when I get home. Don't worry. Okay, then I'll go out, President Hua. Huamin nodded. Just then Bella walked in and whispered something into Huamin's ear. Why is he here? Huamin frowned slightly. Chapter 1832. This is a critical time. Does President Hua plan to see him? Bella asked softly. After hesitating for a moment, Huamin nodded. Let him in. I think he has something to say to me. Bella nodded and turned to leave. After a while, a man dressed in luxurious casual clothes from a famous brand walked in slowly. President Hua, it's been a while since we last met. The man smiled. Mr. Jiang, how have you been? Huamin looked at Jiang Yi and said faintly. President Hua, do you mind if I smoke? Sure. Jiang Yi smiled as he sat down on the sofa across from Huamin. He took out a black and gold pack of cigarettes, took out a thin stick and put it in his mouth. I've been back in Jing City for half a year now. If it weren't for Mo Schweiger's accident, I wouldn't have come back. So, are you here to beg for mercy? Huamin looked at him and asked quietly. Beg for mercy? Oh no. President Hua, you seem to be mistaken. The truth is, Mo Schweiger's life and death and her career have nothing to do with me. I don't care about these things. Jiang Yi smiled. Huamin only looked at Jiang Yi quietly, as if he was trying to figure out what he was thinking. He didn't say anything. President Hua, you have to understand that Mo Schweiger and I are just partners in bed. We're not as close as you think. I don't have that many feelings for her and she's just a pastime for me. We're just taking what we need. But after her accident, I realized that I might have a chance, Jiang Yi said thoughtfully. I don't know. Mr. Jiang, what kind of chance are you talking about? Huamin never liked Jiang Yi because he felt that Jiang Yi was a very strange person. She didn't know what he was thinking. Everything he did was weird. It was especially uncomfortable to interact with him. In the past, in order to develop his business here, he signed with Su Yu's company. Every time he saw Huamin, he would always look at him with that same undisguised gaze. Su Yu didn't like Jiang Yi, so he didn't give him any chance to get close to Huamin. Later, Jiang Yi found out that Su Yu had never promoted him. After a few years of tepid success, his contract expired half a year ago and he returned to the capital. Huamin thought that he wouldn't come back, but he didn't expect to see him in the office half a year later. Jiang Yi took a puff of his cigarette and blew out a smoke ring. A chance to help you. Help me. Huamin still didn't quite understand what Jiang Yi meant. President Hua, you're a smart man. You should know that I've been with Mo Schweiger for a long time, so I know a lot. She's been entangled with Hua Xiqian for years, not only because of love but also because of benefits. When President Hua and his wife were framed for murder, you should know who is behind it. If I can help you find evidence. Jiang Yi didn't say anything else. He just looked at Huamin meaningfully. Mr. Jiang, you should know that my husband and I have already been cleared of any wrongdoing. Someone else has already taken the blame, so this case was closed a long time ago. Whether or not you can find evidence doesn't matter to us. Huamin was extremely calm. Who said that? What if I can find evidence that Hua Xiqian killed Song Yisher? Jiang Yi asked with a smug smile. When Huamin heard this, his expression changed slightly as if he was surprised. What do you think? President Hua, are you interested? Jiang Yi looked at Huamin as if there was something different in his eyes. Chapter 1833. I'm interested, but there's no free lunch in this world. Tell me your conditions first. Huamin didn't think that Jiang Yi would be so kind as to help her take down Huasiqian so easily. There had to be some conditions. As expected, Jiang Yi smiled. President Hua is indeed a smart person. Let's not waste time, tell me your conditions. Let's see if I can afford it. You can afford it. I won't ask for too much. How much money do you want? Huamin asked. Although you're rich, I don't want money. Then your conditions are. Huamin quietly stared at his face. I want to sleep with you. These simple but powerful words didn't surprise Huamin. Jiang Ye's feelings for her weren't new. She already had an answer in her heart, so when she heard Jiang Ye's words, she didn't feel like they were too sudden. You're quite greedy, Huamin sneered. Although I'm not an entrepreneur, I've been a celebrity for many years. I have a lot of savings, so I don't lack money. I'm already halfway through my life and I just want to be happy. As long as it makes me happy, I'm willing to do anything. As for you, President Huamin, I'm very interested in you. Maybe you should know that when I first met you, I was attracted to you. All these years, watching you between Qin Chu, Su Yu and Huasiqian, I'm even more convinced that you're not a simple woman. If I could sleep with you even just once, it would be a great joy in my life. Jiang Ye's words were very sincere, which suited his style. He was different from Qin Chu's sincere love for Huamin. He was different from Su Yu's fanatical love for Huamin. Unlike Huasiqian's perverted possessiveness towards Huamin, Jiang Yi simply wanted to sleep with Huamin. He had never concealed his desire for Huamin, even when it came to something as simple and crude as sex. If it was in the past, Huamin would have lost his temper and kicked Jiang Yi out. But now that she had experienced so much, she was no longer the hot-tempered little girl she used to be. So in the face of Jiang Ye's humiliating conditions, she only smiled faintly. Jiang Yi, you're quite an interesting person. You actually dared to talk about your desires so directly. I don't like to waste everyone's time and I don't like to beat around the bush. You might not like what I'm saying, but it's just how I do things. Jiang Yi tilted his head and looked at Huamin, his eyes filled with lust. Speaking of which, it was rather strange. Huamin wasn't extremely beautiful and her body wasn't hot either. She didn't have big breasts and beautiful buttocks, nor did she have seductive eyes. She was just a stubborn little girl. She always did things by the book and her personality was calm as a cucumber. However, such an inconspicuous and slightly arrogant girl was still on Jiang Ye's mind. Jiang Yi was handsome, rich and charming. He was an expert at picking up girls and over the years he had slept with countless girls. He had never met a girl that he couldn't get, and the only one he couldn't get was Huamin. So he put in a lot of effort and thought of all sorts of ways to get her. But do you think that I, Huamin, would give myself to you just to bring down Huasiqian? Jiang Yi didn't say anything and he quietly listened to Huamin's next words. Jiang Yi, who do you think you are? You think you're worthy of me, Huamin, taking off my clothes for such a small price? Huamin's lips twitched. Chapter 1834. I know that even Su Yu, who loves you so much, couldn't get you after years of being with you, let alone me. I know I don't have a good chance of winning, but I'm a person who dares to try. You can only know if you're going to win after trying. If you don't even dare to try, then what's the point of dreaming? So, President Hua, you don't have to be angry. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But if one day you regret it and want to come find me, I'll always welcome you. Jiang Yi stood up. Don't worry, you won't have that chance. Not in this life, not in the next life. Huamin shut him up. Jiang Yi paused, turned around and smiled wickedly. I love it when you're arrogant. Huamin was speechless. After Jiang Yi left, Huamin went back to work. To Huamin, Jiang Yi was the one who provided evidence that Huasiqian killed Song Yisher. Even if Jiang Yi helped her kill Huasiqian, she would never give up on him. She would never give herself to him. For Huamian, when it came to sex, there was no other man in the world that could make her willingly lie down under Qin Chu. After a busy morning, Huamin video called Mr. Qin. Qin Chu was streaming the twins practicing piano, which made Huamin very happy. Mr. Qin, you're super efficient. Yeah. So, honey, do you want to compliment me? Of course. Honey, you're the best. Little Bean, what does our piano skills have to do with her husband's greatness? Sis, I don't understand. Pudding, not everyone understands how Qin Chu and Huamian show off their love. Hurry up and play. If mommy sees you slacking off, you won't be able to eat ice cream tonight. Little Bean, oh my God, don't take away my little wish. Little Bean, what are you mumbling about? Huamin looked past Mr. Qin and saw Little Bean on the screen. Oh, I miss Mommy so much today. If only you were here, I could play this new song for you, Little Bean said without blushing at all. Good boy. Practice well with me. Remember to put your heart into it, and not focus on technique. Got it, Mommy. We'll follow your example and learn from you. Daddy said that Mommy plays the piano very well. Little Bean continued to praise her. Huamin nodded in satisfaction, indicating that he enjoyed it very much. Pudding sighed and said proudly, nowadays flatterers are really popular. Qin Chu almost laughed out loud when he heard this. Ever since they returned to the country, the haze had been swept away. The twin daughters had brought them so much joy. Qin Chu sometimes felt that these two little guys were the best gifts that God had given him. They were the proof of the deep love between him and Huamin. Honey, drive to Hilton Chinese restaurant at 6 tonight. I'll go there directly from the company. Are you having a family dinner? Not just a family dinner, but also Lingling's and Xiaowei's. That's great. The more the merrier. Okay, see you tonight. Hey, President Hua, good luck. Qin Chu looked at Huamin, who was wearing a slim black suit, lovingly. Huamin was like a shy girl. She smiled shyly and said, I'll work hard. 6 p.m. at Hilton Chinese restaurant, Mommy. Can I go home first? I'm so scared to see Little Bean and Pudding. The party hadn't even started yet, but Wei Yunchu was already nervous and wanted to run away. Jiang Xiaowei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chapter 1835. Son, you can't be so cowardly. How can a man be afraid of his little sister? They're not normal people's little sisters. They're gangsters, Wei Yunchu complained. Gangsters? Where did you hear that? Jiang Xiaowei was dumbfounded. Uncle Tang Chuan said it. He said that Little Bean and Pudding are gangsters. Yes, that's right, they're gangsters. That damn Tang Chuan, he's slandering us again. He'll fall into the twins' hands sooner or later. Jiang Xiaowei laughed. Wei Liao booked the hotel. The Wei family had already acquired the Hilton Hotel and was preparing to enter the hotel industry. Therefore, to celebrate, Jiang Xiaowei went back to work at the Municipal Public Security Bureau. The kids were taken care of by the Wei family's nanny and Mrs. Wei. Zhu Lingling was a little sad. After giving birth to her son Gao Buyuan, her body didn't recover. Now that she weighed 120 pounds, she couldn't be a stewardess anymore. Therefore, Gao Ran's family paid for her to open a trendy handbag studio. Zhu Lingling also had a playful attitude and created her own brand of women's handbags, Ling. She didn't expect the sales to be so good. At least she had something to do every day. Gao Ran made countless contributions in just 4 years and was promoted to the second-in-command of the Municipal Public Security Bureau. He was known as the youngest deputy director in history. Because of his good looks and high position, many women wanted to throw themselves at him. Zhu Lingling was often jealous. She even stopped him from going on Weibo. Zhu Lingling took care of it herself. Gao Ran didn't know whether to laugh or cry. When Qin Chu arrived with the twins, Huamin wasn't there yet. Everyone else was already waiting in the private room, Wei Liao and Gao Ran's families. Hey, Little Bean and Pudding, let Auntie Lingling hug you. Zhu Lingling truly liked the twins even more so than Jiang Xiaowei. Perhaps it was because of her personality. So every time she saw him, she would hug and kiss him. Honey, control yourself. Look at Pudding's disgusted face. You're spitting on her face, Gao Ran laughed. Don't talk nonsense. Little Bean loves me. Zhu Lingling rolled her eyes at Gao Ran. Gao Buin hid behind his father, not daring to step forward. Little brother Buin, you're here too. Come, let's play. Little Bean looked at Gao Buyuan as if she had discovered a new continent. Gao Buin was so scared that he kept stepping back. He couldn't walk steadily and had to be supported. However, his actions and consciousness were already muddled. It seemed that he was also very afraid of the twins. Qin Chu, did you see that? Your daughter is a gangster. Even Yunchu and Buin don't dare to approach her. Gao Ran chuckled. Nonsense. My daughter is in the mafia, which is even higher than the mafia, okay? Qin Chu patted Little Bean's head lovingly and smiled. Heh. You're so proud of yourself. Qin Chu, where's Mian? Jiang Xiaowei asked. He should be here soon. I just called because she was stuck in traffic. As soon as he finished speaking, Huamin opened the door and walked in. Then he placed his bag on the table. Sorry, I'm not late, right? Oh, you're just in time. Let's start eating. Wei Liao smiled and called the waiter over. Then the three families sat down together feeling touched. Before anyone could speak, Little Bean glanced around and said, "Everyone's here, but why isn't handsome Su here?" After saying that, everyone looked embarrassed. Before Qin Chu came back, Wei Liao would invite Suyu to every family gathering. Most of the time, Suyu would pay the bill. Huamin never invited Suyu because he didn't want to be too close to him. However, Suyu enjoyed it. Now that the twins' father was back, Suyu naturally wouldn't come. "Your uncle Su just recovered and is still recovering, so he won't be coming," Wei Liao explained. Qin Chu didn't want everyone to feel awkward, so he glanced at Gao Ran and changed the topic. "Is there any progress on Imo Shui'er's case? Did Hu Xiqian bail her out?" Chapter 1836. Not yet. From the looks of it, Hu Xiqian won't bail her out. After all, the Hu Xiqian already announced that Imo Shui'er is insignificant to them, Gao Ran analyzed. But this incident will have a huge impact on the Hu Corporation. After all, she's the most popular girl in the Hu Corporation. Also, the movie that's about to be released will be banned. The stock market will also fluctuate. Hu Xiqian will lose a lot of money, Wei Liao interrupted. "This is nothing to Hu Xiqian. This is just the beginning," Qin Chu said faintly. "Mr. Qin, did you do this?" Zhu Lingling finally understood the crux of their conversation. Before Qin Chu could speak, Huamin explained with a smile, "Mr. Qin just found the right opportunity. Imo Shui'er has been doing drugs for years. Someone was covering for her before. Now that she's exposed, it's not my husband's fault." "Yeah, my husband did well this time. Imo Shui'er, that bitch, should have been in jail a long time ago." Zhu Lingling patted Gao Ran's shoulder proudly. "Yunchu, why are you sitting in your mom's arms? Come down and play with your brothers and sisters." Huamin teased Wei Yunchu, who was in Jiang Shaowei's arms, with a smile. "Auntie Huamin, I don't want to go down." "Why not?" "Because I'm scared of Little Bean and Pudding." Did they bully you? Tell me, I'll teach them a lesson. They keep asking me who's prettier. I'm so annoyed." After Wei Yunchu said this, everyone burst into laughter. "Qin Chu, take care of your daughters. Our son can't even talk yet, but they've already traumatized him," Gao Ran said with a smile as he hugged his son, Gao Buyin. "How can boys be bullied by girls? You guys are really..." Zhu Lingling said helplessly. Huamin turned around and glanced at Pudding. "You're the older sister, tell me what happened. Didn't mommy tell you not to bully Big Brother?" "We didn't bully him. We trust Big Brother's taste, that's why we asked if she's prettier. If it wasn't of our business we wouldn't ask," Pudding answered matter-of-factly. Before Huamian could say anything, Little Bean said, "But Big Brother, we're always equally beautiful. Of course we feel uncomfortable. I'm obviously the prettier one." Big Brother?" "I didn't, Pudding, Little Pudding, of Pudding, Pudding of Hawaii Pudding, tea play." "Auntie Hua, don't believe her." Wei Yunchu took the opportunity to complain. "Tt, what? Ttess of Shiev? She rubbed her saliva all over your face because she likes you. Isn't that how adults kiss when they're dating?" Little Bean said innocently. Everyone was dumbfounded. Qin Chu's forehead was covered in cold sweat. It seemed like he had to change his daughter's habit of shocking people with her words. Otherwise her parents would be embarrassed. "Ahem. Son, did you kiss Little Bean?" Wei Liao was also shocked by Huamian's words. Wei Yunchu felt wronged. "Dad, don't listen to Little Bean's nonsense. She said she rubbed her saliva all over my face. She rubbed her saliva on her finger and rubbed it on my face. It's not the same as dating and kissing. Don't mislead everyone." His son calmly explained what happened while he was still angry. Jiang Shaowei laughed hysterically. "Mommy, is it that funny? Your son is being bullied." Chapter 1837. Son, you used the word mislead very well. Have you improved your language skills? Jiang Shaowei asked with a smile. Wei Yunchu looked at his mother, dumbfounded. It seemed like his mother's focus wasn't on whether or not he was being bullied. "Pudding, your sister is so ridiculous. Why don't you do something about it?" "Mommy, even you can't do anything about it. You want me to? You think too highly of me." Pudding sipped her juice unhurriedly. Huamin was speechless. "Mr. Qin, look at your daughters." Huamin couldn't take it anymore. "They're still young. There's no need to rush." Qin Chu smiled gently. They're not young. They don't look like they're 3 years old. If you don't do something about it now, do you think you'll have a chance to do something about it in the future? Gao Ran teased. Little Bean glanced at Gao Ran. She rolled her eyes and asked curiously, Uncle Gao, the other day when we were on our way back from piano lessons, we saw a beautiful woman in a police uniform sitting in the passenger seat of your Jaguar. Is she a new intern at the city bureau? Gao Ran was speechless. When did that happen? Great Gao Ran, you're getting bolder now. Zhu Lingling couldn't stay calm anymore. Hey Little Bean, don't talk nonsense. It'll cause a family conflict. Gao Ran didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Could it be that I so wrongly? Sis, did you see her? Little Bean turned around and looked at Pudding. I saw her too. She was smiling at Uncle Gao. She was young and pretty. But it's normal. Uncle Gao is the deputy director now. Those female police officers would jump on him when they see him. You two are trying to kill me. Gao Ran couldn't laugh anymore. Gao Ran, tell me. What female police officer? What intern? Zhu Lingling pinched his arm tightly. Hey, honey, don't pinch me. It's not what you think. My colleague from the Municipal Public Security Bureau was about to be late for work. Then he saw my car and took 2 stops. Who would believe you? I'll teach you a lesson when we get home. Zhu Lingling was furious. Qin Chu, your daughter. Gao Ran was truly helpless. Before he could finish, Little Bean continued, Uncle Gao, I saw him the other day. All right. Little Bean, don't say anything. Listen to me first. After saying that, Gao Ran glanced at Qin Chu and gave him a thumbs up. Qin Chu, you've raised these 2 daughters well. They're smart and cute. They're the best in the world. Hearing that it was a compliment, Little Bean immediately changed her words. That day when I saw that Uncle Gao's phone was filled with Auntie Lingling's photos, I thought that Uncle Gao must really love Auntie Lingling. They're all my photos. Zhu Lingling obviously didn't believe it. Yup. That day I used Uncle Gao's phone to play Do Diju and accidentally found them. Zhu Lingling smiled shyly. Damn cop, at least you still have a conscience. Gao Ran finally let out a sigh of relief. He felt like he was on a roller coaster just now. The twins of the Qin family were very mischievous and quick-witted. Most importantly, he couldn't mess with them. Old Wei, you're smart. You don't talk much at every gathering and don't cause trouble. Gao Ran glanced at Wei Liao and said meaningfully. Even if I can't mess with them, I can still avoid them. Wei Liao laughed. Pudding, Little Bean. Don't bully your brothers anymore. If I hear Yunchu complain again. Humph. Huamin sneered. Chapter 1838. Pudding raised her head and looked at Wei Yunchu meaningfully. Then she turned around and smiled at her mother. Don't worry. Big brother will never tell on you again. Why do I feel like Pudding's words are weird? Jiang Shaowei couldn't help but laugh. Mommy, let's go home. So scary. Wei Yunchu hugged Jiang Shaowei's neck tightly. Pudding and Little Bean's two-faced nature was on full display at the party. Qin Chu was naturally proud, but Huamin was a bit worried. After the party, the family of 4 drove back to South Hill Manor. The twins were tired and had fallen asleep in the back seat. Honey, yeah? Do you think our babies will grow up to be gangsters? Huamin asked worriedly. Qin Chu chuckled when he heard this. What are you laughing at? Huamin was confused. Honey, you're thinking too much. They're still young. Besides, they're not evil by nature. They're just a bit overbearing, two-faced and vengeful. My goodness. Isn't that enough? They're girls. Their tempers will get bigger in the future. What will happen then? Pudding and Little Bean are indeed strong-willed, Qin Chu analyzed as he drove. They're not like me or you in this aspect. Yeah. They're like their auntie, Qin Chu blurted out. Like their auntie? Huamin's heart raced every time he heard news about his sister. Lu Yan's personality is like this. She's cranky, hot-tempered, high-profile and hates evil. Most importantly, she's not afraid of anything. She doesn't dare to mess with anyone. Qin Chu recalled that he had met Lu Yan and chatted with her when he was operating on Qiao Fei in Moscow. Although they didn't have much contact, there were too many rumors about Lu Yan in the world of martial arts. He was too amazing. Yenner is only 20 years old. From what you said, she's been living such a life since she was young. Actually, my heart aches for her. At least compared to her, I'm the luckier one. At least my life is stable. That's why your father didn't dare to look for you all these years even though he knew where you were. Life is really quite mysterious. Even biological sisters have different fates. If we were in each other's shoes, I don't think I would be able to hold on. I really don't know how Yennefer has been through all these years. When water reaches a dead end, it becomes a waterfall. When people reach a dead end, they will be reborn. Perhaps it's because of that harsh living environment that Lu Yen is so outstanding. Does Yennefer look like me? Huamin couldn't help but ask. She doesn't look like you, but her personality is similar to yours. For example, Huamin looked at Qingchu curiously. He's stubborn. He can persevere no matter what. Lu Yen must have had faith in herself all these years. I really don't know when I'll be able to see her. Huamin's gaze was warm. Thinking that he still had a sister alive in this world, he suddenly felt that life was full of surprises. Not too long. Once we get rid of Ian, everyone will be happy. I think that's what the professor hopes for as well. The car sped through the night. Rio de Janeiro, South America. Lu Yen wore a fiery red dress and appeared at a celebrity business dinner party. She effortlessly switched between English and Portuguese. People seemed to be quite interested in this Asian girl with exquisite looks. Boss, everything is ready. The explosion will happen in 10 minutes. We can leave now, a waiter in a waiter's uniform whispered in her ear. Okay. Lu Yen smiled slightly with a glass of red wine in her hand. Then she quickly walked out. Long time no see. Lu Yen didn't expect to run into this guy just as she was about to reach the exit. Moreover, he appeared in front of her without any warning. She didn't even receive a single message. Hi, Ian. Lu Yen helplessly greeted him. Chapter 1839. If Lu Yen remembered correctly, the last time she saw Ian was 2 years ago when she was surrounded by his men in Florida. That time was also very dangerous. Fortunately, Qiao Fei arrived and saved her. Since then she avoided Ian like he was the plague. She knew that no good would come out of this man wherever he went. Because he could no longer be described as a bad person. He was the leader of an extreme terrorist organization that defied humanity. His mind was to destroy the world. However, such a perverted man with no limits had a soft spot for Lu Yen. Ian wasn't old. He was only a few years older than Huamin and was only in his 30s. He was very good-looking. Perhaps it was because he was born in a German noble family, so his bloodline was very pure. He was an authentic Caucasian. His deep blue eyes shone with a strange light. His short brown hair was very eye-catching. Ian loved to smile and looked very cute when he smiled. Many people were deceived by his appearance and ignored his bloodthirsty nature. Ian loved the Godfather costume. Every time he appeared, he wore this black robe and looked very strange. Those who didn't know him would think that he was a Christian. In fact, he was an evil Satanist. Even the cross on his neck was anti-Satanist. Ian had been hunting Lu Yen and Professor Lu for a long time. This was a plan that had been laid out for a long time. Originally, he wanted to start with Professor Lu's daughter and threaten him to work for him. But Professor Lu's eldest daughter disappeared many years ago. It was said that she was stranded in China. Ian investigated but found nothing. Even someone as powerful as Hua Xiqian couldn't find her, so Ian basically gave up on that lead. Lu Yen, on the other hand, was very difficult to catch. Ian spent a lot of effort to track her down. Every time he found her, she would disappear. So this time, Ian set a trap. He directly colluded with Lu Yan's employer and lured her to Brazil. Finally, they met on a narrow path. Boss, you go first. I'll cover you. The subordinate was very nervous and pointed his gun at Ian. Both of us can't leave. Lu Yen was very calm. She looked around and saw that there were more than 20 snipers in every corner of the venue. Damn it, she didn't know where the extra red dots came from. It was creepy. Yen, why don't you come back to Berlin with me? Ian tilted his head and smiled at Lu Yen. I was just thinking of traveling to Germany. That's a good idea. Let's go. Then Lu Yen walked forward confidently, as if she was ready to be captured. Boss, I'm sorry, we miscalculated. The subordinate said guiltily. It's none of your business. I'm sure Ian has been planning this for a long time. He won't kill me. We'll play it by ear. Lu Yen was smart enough to know that she was at a disadvantage. If she didn't have the confidence, she wouldn't apply. Otherwise, she would drag her subordinates down with her if she ran away. She wasn't crazy enough to ignore the life and death of her subordinates. 10 minutes later, Lu Yen and her subordinates were taken onto Ian's private jet. I still like to look at you face to face like this. You're so charming when you're quiet, Ian said in fluent German. Lu Yen lowered her head and didn't say anything. She kept trimming her nails with a nail clipper, completely ignoring Ian. This was something no one would dare to do. In the eyes of Ian's subordinates, it was simply disobedience. But Ian liked Lu Yan's fearless personality. Ian, I'm thirsty. I want some red wine. Chapter 1840. Lu Yan didn't like to drink water. When she was thirsty, she would drink red wine, cocktails, beer, and all kinds of alcohol like water. He was very tough. Carl, bring me some red wine. Ian was in a good mood and called out to the butler behind him. The old man named Carl carefully brought over a bottle of red wine. He opened it and poured 2 glasses. Lu Yan picked up the red wine and looked at Ian. Then she tilted her head back and drank it. Ian smiled as he picked up the red wine and sipped it. Suddenly he felt his whole body go numb. Do you feel like you can't move? Lu Yan smiled. What did you do to me? Ian was terrified. Just then the old man named Carl beside Ian slowly tore off the human skin mask on his face. Dad, you're good at acting. Lu Yan looked at the old man and smiled like a flower. Teach me. Ian looked at the old man in disbelief. As soon as Ian said the word professor, dozens of AK-47s were pointed at Lu Yan and the professor's heads. You better not move. Ian is poisoned and only I can cure him. The professor's words were never a joke. He was a genius doctor and a master of poison. Everyone knew that. Ian caught Lu Yan this time because he was careless and didn't expect Professor Lu to come along. He even disguised himself as the old butler, Carl. The red wine was poisoned. Lu Yan was fine, but he was poisoned. Don't look at me like that, Ian. I've been playing with my dad's poisons since I was a child. I'm immune to all kinds of poisons. Lu Yan smiled. When she got on the plane and saw Carl, she knew something was wrong. It was a secret signal between her and her dad. That was why she said she was thirsty and wanted to drink. Ian was about to lose consciousness. He couldn't move his body and just sat there in a daze like a doll. The antidote, or we'll all die here, Ian said with difficulty. I can give you the antidote, but we have to leave first. Professor Lu's voice was hoarse. Okay. Ian seemed to be very obedient. Open the cabin. We're going to parachute down. Dad, why aren't they parachuting? We're taking the plane, Lu Yan complained. Don't tell me you want to go to Germany when you get off the plane and continue to be hunted down? The professor glanced at his daughter faintly. Lu Yan was speechless. Indeed, the older the ginger, the wiser the ginger, the wiser the ginger. I have the antidote with me. Drink it and you'll recover in 10 minutes. Why should I believe you? What if you run away and the antidote is fake? Ian seemed to be worried. You don't have a choice. Why don't we all die here? You get poisoned first and then your men shoot us. What do you think? Professor Lu looked at Ian and smiled. Ian's expression immediately turned ugly. He knew that Professor Lu wouldn't scare people and he would definitely do what he said. Ian, you have 8 minutes to consider. Even if I give you the antidote after 8 minutes, you will die from the poison. Everyone is so busy, you better make a decision quickly. Lu Yan was really arrogant. In the end, Ian only thought about it quietly for a few seconds. Then he gritted his teeth and slowly said, You guys open the cabin and get the parachutes. Boss, are we really going to let them go? His subordinates didn't seem convinced. Shut up all of you. Carry out my orders. Ian couldn't laugh anymore. 2 minutes later, Lu Yan and her subordinates jumped first. Professor Lu was the last to jump. Before he jumped, he kept his promise and threw the antidote to Ian. After the 3 of them landed, Lu Yan took off the parachute and walked over to help her dad up. Dad, why are you suddenly here? You're my savior. Lu Yan exclaimed. Chapter 1841. I've been paying attention to Ian's whereabouts and found out that he came to Brazil. I also knew that something was wrong when you were in Brazil, so I disguised myself as one of his people when he wasn't paying attention. Smart, but Dad, why didn't you just poison him to death and give him another bag of poison? If people like Ian don't die, we'll never have a good life. Do you think we'll have a good life if we kill him? If he dies, we'll be hunted down even more. The German mafia and terrorist organizations won't let us go. Ian does have to die, but not now. Then Professor Lu got up and walked forward. Boss, we're still in Rio de Janeiro. Where are we going next? Lu Yan's subordinate asked her after taking out the jeepus. Let's go home. I'm never coming back to this damned place. If it weren't for my dad, I would be a prisoner by now. This time it was indeed very dangerous. I've told you many times not to take orders recklessly. You have so much money that you won't be able to spend it all in your next life. Why are you still looking at money? Aren't I going to save more for my twin nieces? Professor Lu's eyes softened at the mention of twins. They're 3 years old this year, right? Yeah, they just celebrated their 3rd birthday. Qingqiu already went back. Don't worry about things in China. My sister is doing very well. She's just a famous entrepreneur now. Lu Yan knew Huamin's situation like the back of her hand. Do you have a picture? Let me see. Lu Yan turned on her watch, opened the picture and enlarged it. Professor Lu looked at the picture of Huamin and her 2 daughters, and a strong sense of affection appeared in his eyes. Although Huamin wasn't by his side when she was young, Professor Lu had never forgotten about her. If your mom saw this, she would be very happy. She's living a peaceful and happy life now, which is exactly what your mom wants to see. Yeah. I actually envy my sister. I really hope she can live like this forever. I'm sorry I didn't give you a stable life all these years. Professor Lu's white sideburns indicated that he was getting older. Looking at his younger daughter, he actually felt sorry for her. Although they were father and daughter, they only saw each other a few times a year. Every time they met, they would bid each other farewell in a hurry. Why are you talking about this? I'm already used to it. Sure, it's pretty good. At least I've learned a lot of survival skills. I've seen a lot of insomnia and I've killed a lot of enemies. Compared to my sister's calmness, my life has been more exciting. After I succeed in my experiment, I'll find a chance to kill Ian. Then you can marry Qiao Fei and stop running around. Your mercenary group will be disbanded and you'll quit this business. After all, you're a girl. Fighting and killing isn't your final destination. Oh, that's a long time ago. I'm only in my early 20s. Why would I get married? Lu Yan always tried to avoid marrying Qiao Fei. Suddenly, Professor Lu's phone rang. He looked at his watch. Qiao Fei's image was reflected. Uncle Lu, how are you? Very good. Yenra has been successfully rescued. Don't worry. That's good. Do you want to talk to her? Professor Lu asked. No need. I still have something to do. So, she didn't expect Qiao Fei to hang up just like that. How heartless. Damn it. That psycho. He didn't even say a word to me. Lu Yan bit her lips. I think you made him angry. Professor Lu knew his daughter's personality well. Lu Yan didn't say anything. She looked down and tried to recall what made Psycho Qiao so angry. He didn't even want to talk to her. Chapter 1842. Before she came to Brazil, Qiao Fei told her not to run around. It wasn't peaceful recently, so he told her to stay at the Qiao family's house in Moscow. He even said he would cook special Russian food for her, but Lu Yan didn't care about that at all. When Qiao Fei went back to the family headquarters to deal with business, she ran away. Then she took a job and flew to Brazil. Qiao Fei didn't want to talk to her. Angry? I'm the one who's angry. I saved his life. If I didn't find my brother-in-law to operate on him a few years ago, he wouldn't be alive now, Lu Yan said matter-of-factly. Why don't you think about it? Who did he get shot a few years ago? Her dad's words made Lu Yan speechless. Don't say I don't have time to save you next time. I'm telling you, don't take jobs anymore. Go back to the island or stay at the Qiao family's house in Moscow. Safe there. Dad, I want to go back to China. I want to see my sister and the twins. You're acting up again, aren't you? Professor Lu looked at his daughter helplessly. I really want to see my sister and her pair of beautiful nieces. You'll have a chance, but not now. Lu Yan, I'm telling you, if you bring danger to yourself and your sister because of your stubbornness, I'll never forgive you. Then Professor Lu turned around and left. Lu Yan pouted and wanted to express her dissatisfaction. Boss, let's go back. Go away. Don't talk to me. Lu Yan was in a bad mood. Why was it so hard to see her sister? Why hadn't she had a chance in all these years? It was a miracle that she could hold it in for so long with her fiery personality. At South Hill Manor after piano practice, the twins sat in the living room and played. Pudding liked to read all kinds of news on the internet, so she quietly browsed through the news on her tablet. Littlebean liked to eat. She was eating an orange as she watched TV. When Chin Chu came downstairs, he saw the sisters in such harmony. Unfortunately, it wasn't Pleasant Goat and Big Bad Wolf or Boonie Bears on TV. Instead, it was a variety show that had been very popular in the country recently. Run, Brother, Little Bean. You like this show? Yeah. I like Big Brother Xiaolu. Little Bean was infatuated. Brother Xiaolu? Chin Chu was confused. Pudding glanced at Little Bean and replied calmly, Daddy, ignore her. She's talking about celebrities. Well, it seems that Daddy is out. Chin Chu smiled helplessly and sat in the empty seat between the two sisters. Where's Mommy? She's still busy. She still has to deal with some company matters. Daddy, are you really going to live off her? Little Bean looked at Chin Chu sympathetically. What? Are you going to look down on Daddy as well? Mommy works to support the family while Daddy cooks and takes care of you at home. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel weird. Little Bean looked at her daddy in confusion. Pudding, you don't want Daddy to be home with you guys every day? No, I'm fine. The problem is, Daddy, won't you be bored staying with us like this? Pudding asked calmly. No, Chin Chu answered without hesitation. If you don't think it's boring, then it's fine. I don't care. Pudding, what news are you watching? Nothing. I'm just looking at the stock market. I heard that 2 families in the real estate industry are getting married. I think their stocks will definitely rise. I'm going to buy some and sell it when it reaches the upper limit. You invest in stocks? Chin Chu looked at Pudding in disbelief. Sometimes. I use Mommy's account. Mommy will give me 100,000 yuan. She won't give me a lot. I'm just doing it for fun. Are you making money or losing money? Chin Chu was immediately interested. Chapter 1843. Little Bean peeled off a piece of orange and stuffed it into Chin Chu's mouth. Daddy, you don't know my sister at all. Why would she lose money? With her IQ, she won't be satisfied until she wins 10 times over. So our Pudding is an expert in the stock market? Chin Chu chuckled. Pudding calmly logged into her account and showed Chin Chu the current balance in the stock market. It wasn't the 100,000 yuan Huamin gave her. It was 8 million yuan. It wasn't as simple as a 10-fold increase. Good job, girl. Chin Chu patted Pudding's head lovingly. Daddy, I'm here too? Pudding immediately leaned her head on Chin Chu's shoulder and whined. Little Bean is great too. Suddenly, Chin Chu thought of something and asked softly, Pudding, Little Bean, do you want to see your grandparents? We've seen them before, Pudding answered calmly. You've seen them before? Chin Chu was slightly surprised. When we were little, Mommy would show us pictures every day. Daddy was the one she saw the most, then Grandpa and Grandma. Oh, there was also a short-haired auntie. Right, we should call her Auntie, right? Pudding thought hard. Yes, Auntie. That's your Auntie Chin Ning. Yeah, so we're all familiar with each other. Daddy, Auntie's so pretty. The Chin family's genes are so strong. Other than Mommy, everyone else is a beauty queen, Little Bean said with a smile. Your Mommy is beautiful too. Chin Chu smiled. Yeah, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. In Daddy's eyes, Mommy is the most beautiful woman in the world. Pudding praised. Daddy, does Auntie Chin have a boyfriend? Pudding suddenly asked. Not yet, I haven't heard her mention one. Chin Chu thought carefully and realized that he hadn't heard Ning Ning talk about a boyfriend. Oh, I see. Pudding nodded thoughtfully. What? Do you have any plans? Chin Chu looked at Pudding and thought she wouldn't ask this for no reason. Unexpectedly, Pudding smiled mysteriously and replied perfunctorily, nothing. Chin Chu saw this but didn't ask any more questions. Instead he continued, when your Mommy isn't so busy, I'll take you two to the States. We'll go visit your grandparents and auntie, okay? Of course. But I heard it's a long flight to the States. I don't know if I can handle it, Little Bean complained. She looked especially adorable. Pudding, on the other hand, was as calm as ever. I'll leave it to you, Daddy. She played with the 2 little guys in the living room for a while until they were sleepy and went back to sleep. Chin Chu went upstairs. When Chin Chu entered the bedroom, Huamin had already taken a shower and was lying down. He was still reading the company's relevant information in his hand. Wifey, are they asleep? Mom took them back to visit. They look sleepy. The 2 little devils. They're so quiet every day. I can't keep them company. It's okay. Just work. I'll keep them company. Chin Chu walked over and sat on the edge of the bed. Huamin leaned over and rested her head on his shoulder. Honey, I want to talk to you about something. Okay. You didn't ask me anything, you just said okay. Huamin looked up and smiled. Whatever you say, wifey. Honey, if you were an emperor in ancient times, you'd be a fatuous ruler. It's okay. I'm willing to be a fatuous ruler for you. I'm not afraid of being despised by the world. Tisk tsk. I'm surprised that Mr. Qin knows how to sweet talk. You don't like it? Qin Chu looked down at Huamin gently. I like it. I like it a lot. Huamin smiled shyly and nestled in Qin Chu's arms. So, honey, can you tell me what it is now? Chapter 1844. I'm so forgetful. I almost forgot. Auntie Sue just called and said that Lord Sue and Uncle Sue miss the twins. Tomorrow is Saturday, so they want us to bring the kids over for dinner. I also prepared a gift for the Sue family. I'm going to bring it over. Gift? What did you prepare? Lord Sue and the others aren't snobbish people. You don't have to give them something expensive. Huamin was a little worried. Don't worry. I know the Sue family doesn't lack money. They won't give you anything expensive. It's just a small gift. I'll take care of it. Huamin nodded. When the company isn't so busy, I plan to take you guys back to the States. Mom and Dad miss the kids very much. You should have gone a long time ago. I know you're worried that it'll be inconvenient for Mom and Dad to come back. You're afraid that Huasiqian will do something to them, so going to the States is the best way. Qin Chu gently stroked Huamin's long hair. He was very happy that Huamin understood what he meant. No problem. It's time for Mom and Dad to see the kids. How's Dad? Not so good. I've been working hard ever since the surgery. I can only rely on some medicine. Huamin frowned slightly. Dad has already gotten over it. Don't be too sad. Life and death are fated, I know. I hope Dad can stay with us for a few more years and watch the twins grow up, Huamin said slowly. Ever since Qin Chu came back, Huamin's sleep became very good. He had never slept so deeply in years. Now he slept soundly in Suyu's arms every day. His mental state was also very good. Huamin greedily hoped that he and Qin Chu could stay like this forever and never be separated again. 11 years was already a huge test for them. Not many people in the world could be together after being separated for so long. It was easy to imagine how difficult it was for their relationship to come about. Looking at Huamin sleeping soundly, Qin Chu leaned over and gently kissed him. Good night, my girl. In his eyes, Huamin would always be the little girl from more than 10 years ago. That arrogant genius girl. Every time he saw Huamin and the twins, Qin Chu felt that all the pain he had suffered before was worth it. Late at night, he quietly got up, picked up his phone and stood in the corridor to make a call. The following dialogue was in English. What's the situation over there? Everything's calm. Nothing's happened. Have you investigated it thoroughly? Everything is clear. I think we can make a move at any time. After a while, I will bring my wife and son back to America. Don't expose your identity. Don't let my wife find out. He's very smart. I'll contact you when I get back. Don't call me for the time being. That's all. After Qin Chu finished speaking, he hung up the phone. When he was on the phone, he deliberately lowered his voice as if he didn't want anyone to hear. After hanging up the phone, Qin Chu turned around and walked back to his room. He didn't seem to notice that there was someone downstairs at this time of night. At this moment, Xixin, who was drinking water in the pantry upstairs, had a strange expression on his face. The glass of water in his hand trembled slightly. Brother-in-law, he's indeed a little strange this time. Why did he call behind my back? He also said that he didn't want my sister to know. Could it be that he has a mistress in America? Xixin was shocked when he thought of this. Chapter 1845. The next morning it was the weekend, so Xixin and Huamin didn't have to go to work at GK. The family sat around the breakfast table and enjoyed a sumptuous breakfast. Qin Chu's Western food was very authentic and the twins loved it, so he always cooked for them. He made fried eggs, sausages, cheese rolls and honey butter croissants, all of which tasted very authentic. The twins slowly drank their milk. Mion, it's the weekend, are you going out? Yang Meirong asked. I don't have anything to do this morning, but we'll visit the Su family in the afternoon. Mrs. Su invited us to dinner. She said that Lord Su misses the twins. That's good. The Su family has taken care of us for so long and they have feelings for the twins. We should visit them more often. We don't want people to say that we're ungrateful. Mom, I know, don't worry. Jishin ate slowly and didn't say anything, but he glanced at Chinchu a few times. Jishin, why do you keep looking at your brother-in-law? Huamin asked. Chinchu was feeding his daughter's ham, so he didn't notice Jishin's gaze. Upon hearing Huamin's words, he raised his head and looked at Jishin, confused. I wanted to ask. My brother-in-law is so handsome. In the years that you were separated from my sister, haha, in the States in Seattle, right? Did you have any suitors? Jishin laughed, but his voice was a little unnatural, perhaps because he felt guilty. Oh, my little brother wanted to ask Mr. Chin, did you attract girls? Huamin tilted his head and looked at Chinchu with a faint smile. Chinchu's answer was very short, which suited his indifferent and arrogant temperament. I trust Daddy. He's not that kind of person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come back to the States to marry Mommy after studying abroad for 7 years. Uncle, your question is very pointless. Is it because you've been too stressed at work lately? Here, have another fried egg. It'll give you more nutrients. Little Bean picked up the fried egg with a fork and put it on Jishin's plate. Jishin, Uncle, did you find something? You're not a suspicious person. It's weird that you're suddenly asking about Daddy. Pudding was very calm as she analyzed her uncle's strange behavior. Jishin was so scared that he quickly waved his hands. No, I really didn't. I was just asking. I was just curious, huh? Chinchu looked serious. He glanced at Jishin and then at Huamin. Other than Mion, I'm not interested in any woman. His domineering words cleared up all doubts and expressed his determination to Huamin. Wow. Daddy and Mommy are showing off their love so early in the morning. How cruel. Little Bean licked the cream off the corner of her mouth and smirked. Pudding calmly took a sip of milk and chimed in, you'll see this kind of scene often in the future. Don't make a fuss. You have to get used to it. Huamin, Jishin, why are you talking about this? Your brother-in-law isn't that kind of person. If people don't know any better, they might think that we're suspicious of him. If you have the energy to do your job, you should help your sister. Or find yourself a partner. Don't think about all this nonsense, Yang Merong scolded. I know, Mum, Jishin was scolded in the face. He pursed his lips and didn't dare to say anything else. However, he made a mental note to himself. After all, it wasn't that he didn't trust his brother-in-law, it was just that he thought it was a little strange. In the afternoon, Chinchu drove the black Bentley Continental. He took the twins and Huamin to the Su family mansion. As soon as the twins entered the Su family mansion, they immediately ran to Lord Su, who was sitting on the sofa. Great-grandpa, we missed you so much. Pudding, who was never good at acting cute, was no longer cold. Chapter 1846. Great-grandpa, did you miss me? Little Bean began to act cute, determined to surpass her sister. Of course, Great-grandpa misses you, you two little fellas. When Lord Su saw the twins, his heart almost melted. Back then, after Huamin gave birth, she stayed with the Su family for a month. At that time, the two babies were still young and didn't know anything. Lord Su and Mr. Su fought to hold them. They were very affectionate. Although they weren't related by blood, their relationship was very deep. In the next few years, Huamin would occasionally visit the Su family and bring the children home for dinner. When the two babies were tired of playing, they would stay with the Su family. With Lady Su watching over them, they were no different from her own children. Perhaps it was because Lord Su was old, but in front of the two little guys he didn't have the dignity of a military commander at all. All that was left was amiable. Pudding once said that Su Yu's great-grandfather was a stubborn but cute old man. Little Bean, on the other hand, flattered him and said that Su Yu's great-grandfather was the best great-grandfather in the world. Huamin and Chinchu followed behind them. Hello, Master Lord Su. Oh, Master Lord Su. Come sit down, you two. Master Lord Su stood up and said politely. At this moment, Mrs. Su and Mr. Su walked down from upstairs. You came at the right time. You guys talk first. I'll go to the kitchen to prepare the dishes. After speaking, Lady Su went straight into the kitchen. Mr. Su walked over and sat down. The twins pounced on him again and began to act cute. Mr. Su, who had always been serious and old-fashioned, had a happy smile on his face. Mion, have you been busy with work recently? Lord Su asked. It's fine. Not very busy. Chinchu, you have to help your wife. Don't let her work too hard. Lord Su is right. I just came back and am not familiar with anything. I'll get used to it slowly. You'll feel bad for your wife. Huamin shyly retorted. Qin Chu smiled but didn't say anything. By the way, Lord Su, this is for you. Please accept it. After saying that, Qin Chu took out a painting tube from behind him and handed it over. What are you doing? Between us, we don't need these things. Master Lord Su seemed to dislike gifts. Huamin immediately explained, Lord Su, please take a look first. This isn't expensive but it's a gift from Qin Chu. Master Lord Su opened the painting tube doubtfully. He took out the flower scroll and opened it. Then he was slightly stunned. It's not made by a famous master, nor is it an antique. I just heard that Master Lord Su really likes the authentic works of Su Zilin, a painter from the Republic of China. He studied abroad in America. Back then he had a hard time so he sold a few of his works in America. I was lucky enough to buy one of them. So I gave it to Master Lord Su. It's really not expensive. When Mr. Su heard this, he immediately leaned forward to take a look. He was also a little shocked. Rumor has it that Master Su Zilin is a man of integrity. He rarely sells his paintings. If he hits it off, he'll give it to others. It's basically impossible to buy it in China. I remember that the curator of the Pingqing Museum used to be close friends with him. There's one of his paintings in the museum. The rest are hard to come by. Master Su was troubled by love and became a monk in his middle age. That's why his paintings are no longer circulating. I heard that there are a few paintings overseas, but they can't be bought with money. It's really rare that you were able to buy it. After saying this, Mr. Su raised his head and looked at Qin Chu in disbelief. How did you get such a difficult thing to get your hands on? That's amazing. Chapter 1847. It's a coincidence. A friend of mine in the States knows the seller. They're foreigners and don't understand the profoundness of Chinese paintings, so there's no point in keeping it. He wants to sell it and I want to buy it. I've already had it appraised and it's authentic. I hope Master Lord Su will like it, Qin Chu said sincerely. Lord Su held the scroll and couldn't bear to put it down. I heard that he painted the portrait of a gentleman a long time ago. I didn't think that after so many years I'd be lucky enough to see it. I can die without regrets. I heard that he painted the portrait of a gentleman when he was traveling with his friends in Maishan. It's one of his most satisfying paintings. It's indeed the style of a great master. The style is fresh and the strokes are vigorous and powerful. Most importantly, it's rare to see the elegance and nobility of plum, orchid, chrysanthemum, bamboo. It's not easy to paint the essence of a painting. I'm glad you like it, Master Lord Su. Humin smiled. I like it. Of course I like it. You're such a thoughtful child. Lord Su looked at Qin Chu approvingly. It's nothing. I'm glad you like it. Then Qin Chu picked up the square brocade box that he had prepared and pushed it in front of Mr. Su. I get a gift too? Mr. Su asked with a rare kind expression. Uncle, take a look first. Humin smiled mysteriously. Mr. Su slowly opened the brocade box and looked at the ink-black inkstone inside. It was so beautiful that it could topple a city. Seems like you've done your research on my preferences. Did Siyu tell you this? Mr. Su picked up the inkstone and couldn't bear to put it down. No, Siyu wouldn't tell me. I guessed it myself. I've been to your study and saw that you have the most inkstones in your collection. Humin pursed his lips and smiled. As the saying goes, one must cater to a person's preferences when giving a gift. It wasn't the price but the intention. When Mr. Su picked up the back of the inkstone, he was a little surprised. There are words. Looks like Preface to the Orchid Pavilion, Mr. Su exclaimed. Uncle Su, you have good eyesight. Although this inkstone isn't made of the best material, the craftsmanship is very complicated. It was made by a modern master, Feng Hongqing. It's 196 centimeters long, 118 centimeters wide and 16 centimeters thick. There are as many as 168 stone eyes on the inkstone. It's one of a kind in the world. The pattern is carved in the style of Ming Dynasty's blue and white, and the engraving on the back is indeed Wang Shiji's preface to the Orchid Pavilion. Therefore, this inkstone is named Elegant Charm of the Orchid Pavilion, Qin Chu explained patiently. Elegant Orchid Courtyard. Not bad. Good name, I like it. Similarly, this isn't expensive, because it's a modern piece. So, Uncle Sue, you don't have to feel burdened. The reason why I bought it is because I think the craftsmanship is pretty good. It's passable and it's just a small token of my appreciation. I hope Uncle Sue doesn't mind. Chin Chu spoke slowly. Mr. Sue raised his head with admiration in his eyes. Chin Chu, you're about the same age as are you, but you're so knowledgeable about these things. It's clear that you've seen a lot. Uncle Sue, you flatter me. Back then, my father was also very interested in these things. I've been influenced by him since I was young. I just know a little bit, Chin Chu said modestly. At this moment, Little Bean's eyes rolled around and she asked in a childish voice, Daddy, you bought gifts for Great-Grandpa and Lord Sue? What about Grandma? Grandma Sue won't have any, right? That would be very awkward. Daddy, you don't favor boys over girls, do you? Little Bean's words made everyone laugh. Just then Mrs. Sue walked out of the kitchen and asked, Little Bean, what gift did you get for Grandma Sue? Come, let me see. Auntie Sue, your gift is here. Huamin stood up with a smile and held up a beautifully wrapped big box in his hands. Chapter 1848. Oh, Little Bean was right, there's a gift for me. Lady Sue smiled as she took the box. Then she walked over and sat down beside Huamin. She slowly opened the box in front of everyone. Inside was a light blue qipao. It was sewn with golden thread and looked luxurious. The most important thing was that the material was light and delicate. It was obviously a top-grade piece. Actually, Chin Chu gave me this material a few days ago. I asked someone to sew it according to your figure. There are 2 batches of material and I made one for my mother. My mother likes simple and elegant things, so I gave her a dark green one. Auntie Sue has always had an extraordinary aura and is as elegant as an orchid. That's why I thought it would be perfect for you. You only know how to flatter me. But this qipao is so beautiful. The most important thing is that the material doesn't look like ordinary material. Lady Sue gently touched the material of the qipao. She had worn countless qipaos over the years. Whenever it was a traditional festival, she would wear a traditional Chinese qipao. Her aura was indescribable. Therefore, she was very knowledgeable about material. She looked at it and was surprised to find that she didn't have any clothes made of this material. Chin Chu said faintly, Auntie, this material. It's rainbow cloud brocade from Wannan. Have you heard of it? Rainbow cloud brocade? Gosh. Isn't that top-grade material made by the Jiang family's workshop in the Ming dynasty? Rumor has it that it's always been a tribute. Then, during the Republic of China, the workshop declined and the brocade gradually disappeared from the market. I've heard people talk about it, but I've never seen it. My mother-in-law said that her mother's family used to have a rainbow cloud brocade dress. Then during the chaos the house was robbed and the dress disappeared. It's not easy to find it now. Chin Chu knows a lot about this. He bought 2 batches of material from an old friend and made 2 dresses, one for you and one for my mother. Come on, Auntie Sue, try it on and let us see. It'll look beautiful. Huamin chuckled. Believe. Doesn't that mean you don't have any? Lady Sue looked at Huamin. I'm not in a hurry. My mother will give me hers in the future. You should keep yours and give it to Su Yu's wife in the future. Huamin said half-jokingly. Pudding held Lady Sue's hand and said, Grandma Sue, I'll go upstairs with you to change. I can help you hold the hem of your dress in case you slip. Ah, good girl. I didn't dote on you for nothing. Lady Sue was so happy that she kept touching Pudding's face. She put down the walnut in her hand and said, Qin Zhao Zhao, don't be so shameless. That's my specialty. What do you mean by your patent? Flattery? Pudding asked. Little Bean. The quarrel between the sisters made everyone laugh. Then Lady Sue took the twins upstairs to change into their cheongsams. Chin Chu and Huamin stayed downstairs with the 2 elders. Mr. Su really liked the elegant orchid ink slab and couldn't bear to put it down. Chin Chu said, Uncle, this ink slab is a bit too big. The craftsman didn't grind it because it was made from a whole piece of stone, so it's not very nice to look at. You can keep it as a piece of art. If you really grind it, it's a bit too big. It's not convenient to hold. Who said so? I like to use big ones. It's comfortable. Mr. Su laughed loudly. Mion, the twins aren't young anymore. You can't always hire a tutor. Is it time for them to go to school? Is there a suitable kindergarten for them? Grandpa Su glanced at Huamin and suddenly thought of this topic. Chapter 1849. I'm thinking about it too, Mr. Lord Sug. The military kindergarten is good. It's heavily guarded and managed. Most importantly, if they become soldiers in the future, they can directly apply for military school. The score requirements aren't that high. Dad, they're two delicate girls, why would they go to military school? Why are you so silly? Mion wouldn't be willing to let them go. Even if Mion and her husband were willing, we wouldn't be willing to let them go. You know how hard it is in the military. Mr. Su seemed reluctant. Nonsense. Although the military is hard, it's also training. Plus, protecting the country is the highest honor. The old man said this with a righteous tone. Huamin and Qin Chu looked at each other and smiled. Lord Su is right. My daughters aren't that delicate. Let's go home and talk about it. If we can't find a suitable kindergarten, we can ask Lord Su to help us enroll them in a district kindergarten. At least, their safety is guaranteed. Mion is the most sensible one. The old man seemed to be satisfied with Huamin's answer. As they chatted, Lady Su walked down the stairs. Look, Grandma Su is so beautiful. Little Bean yelled at the top of her lungs. Everyone immediately turned to look at the stairs. Lady Su had a good foundation. She was beautiful and had fair skin. Even though she was old, she still looked charming. Huamin always thought that although Lady Su wasn't from a famous family, she had the aura of a rich lady. That kind of temperament was emitted from the bones, and was not something that was deliberately imitated by makeup. This color really suits Mrs. Su. Huamin smiled. It depends on the aura. It was rare for Mr. Qin, who was always cold, to praise someone. Mr. Su and Lord Su both nodded. Especially Mr. Su, who pretended to be calm. The material is really good. It's top grade. Lord Su, it's only the material, okay? Where are you? Little Bean ran over and acted coquettishly. Little devil. You're getting more and more naughty. Lord Su, compliment Grandma Su. I rarely hear you compliment people. Grandma Su is so beautiful today, don't be stingy with your compliments. Little Bean continued to pull on Mr. Su's hand, acting cute. Ahem. It is indeed beautiful. Finally, under Little Bean's pressure, Mr. Su, who had always been reserved and serious, finally said, It's indeed beautiful. However, Lady Su was already very satisfied. Her cheeks were slightly flushed. Min Chu, thank you. Thank you so much. Lady Su thanked them with a smile. Auntie, you don't have to be so polite with us. I've always treated you guys as my family. This isn't a gift, it's a form of filial piety. Huamin was afraid that the Su family would feel burdened, so he quickly explained. I understand what you mean. Let's stop chatting. The food is almost ready. Let's go. Lady Su gestured for everyone to head to the dining room. Pudding raised her head and looked out the door. Then she asked unhappily, Where's handsome Su? I called him. He's on his way home after work. I think he'll be here soon, Lady Su replied. As soon as they sat down in the dining room, they heard the loud sound of an engine. Pudding and Little Bean ran out like the wind. Wow, it's really a Lamborghini. Handsome Su is back. Pudding and Little Bean ran over to greet him as if they were fighting for his attention. The door opened. However, the person they saw wasn't Su Yu. Instead it was, Hi. Pudding, Little Bean. Oh. A woman wearing a light pink cashmere coat with long hair and exquisite makeup greeted them. Pudding and Little Bean subconsciously took 2 steps back, showing their dislike and hostility towards her. Huamin turned his head and saw that it was Jian Tong. She was still wondering why Jian Tong was here when Su Yu walked in behind Jian Tong. Hi. You 2 little ones. Did you miss me? Su Yu walked in with a smile and changed his shoes. Why did you bring an outsider back? Don't you know this is an internal family gathering? Little Bean was unhappy and immediately labeled Jian Tong as an outsider. Chapter 1850. Before Su Yu could say anything, Jian Tong smiled and looked at Little Bean tenderly. Baby, I'm not an outsider. I'm your Uncle Su's girlfriend now. Jian Tong's words made everyone's expression change. Huamin was slightly surprised. He didn't expect Jian Tong to say that. But since she dared to say that, Su Yu must have acquiesced. Old Master Su and Mr. Su didn't like women in the entertainment industry, so they didn't like Jian Tong at all. Lady Su also looked at her son in confusion. She didn't seem to be prepared for this at all. Qin Chu, on the other hand, looked calm, because he didn't care who Su Yu was with. Pudding's reaction was bigger. She glanced at Jian Tong and then at Su Yu. Handsome, is what she said true? Su Yu seemed a little embarrassed. He raised his hand and rubbed the tip of his nose. Ahem, thumb. It's true. Auntie Jian Tong will be Uncle Sue's girlfriend from now on. You guys have to get along well with her. Oh my god. What's going on? Pudding opened her mouth wide, obviously in disbelief. Are you sure this isn't a joke? Pudding still looked at Suyu calmly as if asking for confirmation again. It's not a joke, Pudding. Ping. I can only say, you have bad taste. Pudding turned around and left. She ignored Suyu. Pudding also looked at Suyu with disappointment. I didn't expect. A woman who has seen an eagle can fall in love with a crow, and a man who has seen a rose can fall in love with a wildflower. Suyu, Jian Tong. Pudding's golden sentence left everyone at a loss. Huamin felt embarrassed. After all, his daughter was very rude. Pudding, little bean, don't be rude. She's Uncle Sue's girlfriend. You should call her Auntie Jian Tong, Huamin scolded. It's not easy to be our auntie even if you're handsome Sue's girlfriend, Little Bean said stubbornly. Pudding sat down at the table and changed the topic. Let's eat. I'm starving. After that, Pudding lowered her head and ate slowly, but it was obvious that she wasn't in a good mood. Mom, this is Jian Tong. Suyu formally introduced her. Hello, Lord Su. Hello, Auntie Su. Hello, Uncle Su. Jian Tong smiled sweetly as if she wanted to please everyone. Oh, okay. Mr. Su's expression was indifferent. Lord Su didn't say a word, but it was obvious that he didn't feel good about it. You guys came back just in time. Let's eat. Lady Su understood the big picture and didn't refute her son. Suyu walked over with Jian Tong and found a seat. Jian Tong went to Australia to shoot a movie a few days ago and bought some deep-sea fish oil there. He said it's good for your health. I asked Auntie Yu to put it away, Suyu said. Lady Su glanced at Jian Tong and smiled a little distantly. Miss Jian, you're too kind. We don't need anything. You don't have to buy things for us in the future. It's just a small token of my appreciation. Auntie, don't be so polite with me. Jian Tong seemed to want to please the Su family. Mom, your cheongsam looks good. It's new. Suyu immediately changed the topic to ease the tension. Mian and Chu gave it to me. It's made of the long-lost rainbow cloud brocade. Of course it looks good. Huamin, you're so generous. You spent so much money. Are you going to eat dirt next month? After all, you only earned 10,000 yuan as the president. Suyu looked at Huamin with a smile. Huamin worked at the company and only earned 10,000 yuan a month. But the problem was that the company belonged to his family. He could use as much as he wanted. Suyu used to joke about the 10,000 yuan to tease Huamin. Why would I care about that when I'm buying a gift for Auntie? It's worth it even if I eat dirt. Huamin smiled faintly. I finally realized that Little Bean inherited all her skills from her mom. Suyu smirked. What does it have to do with me? I'm the one being implicated. Little Bean rolled her eyes at Suyu. Pudding couldn't take it anymore. She glanced at Suyu and said, Handsome Su, get to the point. Did you bring her here today to announce your new relationship? You purposely chose today when everyone is here, didn't you? Pudding's words made the atmosphere tense up again. Chapter 1851. Suyu looked embarrassed. Pudding. Kids don't understand adult matters. Handsome Su, don't try to fool us with these childish words. After all, Little Bean and I aren't kids anymore. If you announce your relationship on a day like this, are you declaring war against my daddy or telling my mommy that you've already switched sides with someone else? Suyu was speechless. Pudding, don't talk nonsense. Pudding's words made Huamin so embarrassed that he almost died of cancer. I'm not talking nonsense. The whole world knows that Handsome Su likes mommy. Could it be that Handsome Su was triggered by daddy's return? Is that why you're so desperate? If that's the case, you're really low, Pudding analyzed calmly. I completely agree with my sister. Handsome Su, what you did this time was really wrong, Little Bean began to criticize. Suyu was speechless. Pudding, Little Bean. Don't talk to Uncle Su like that. Chin Chu felt that although his daughter was still young, Suyu would definitely lose face if she spoke so openly, so he scolded her for the first time. Jian Tong, on the other hand, was very calm and didn't feel uncomfortable. It was as if she had expected this before she came. There's still some soup in the pot. I'll go get it for Lord Su. Huamin took the opportunity to get up and leave the table. He walked towards the kitchen and Jian Tong saw this and followed him. Let me help you, Huamin. Then Jian Tong followed Huamin into the kitchen. Lord Su's face immediately darkened. He looked at Su Yu and said, "You, what are you doing?" "Grandpa, I'm not doing anything. I'm an adult, what's wrong with having a girlfriend? Aren't you happy about it?" "It's not about whether we're happy or not. I've told your father many times that the Su family doesn't look for women from the entertainment industry. If you find someone from a good family, we'll definitely support you." Lord Su looked unhappy. "Su, how old are you? Why are you still so impulsive?" Su Yu's father was furious. Even Lady Su, who had always been gentle and virtuous, could not help but scold her son. "Son, what are you trying to do? Why did you suddenly bring someone back? You didn't even tell me beforehand. And why is it Jian Tong?" "In her. Mom, I've talked to Jian Tong before. She's been doing her job at the company all these years, so I know what she's like. Plus, she's very good to me and she's very devoted to me. Why can't I choose her? It's better to choose someone I know than someone I don't know. I think we're just going back to how we used to be. There's nothing wrong with it." Su Yu seemed to be determined to acquiesce to this relationship. He didn't hesitate to fall out with his grandfather and parents. It was inconvenient for Qin Chu to intervene in the Su family's affairs, so he could only choose to watch with folded arms. The twins, on the other hand, were not calm and seemed to be very angry. "Handsome Su, even if you want to find a girlfriend, you can't find someone like her. She's a typical pretentious bitch. We don't like Jian Tong. We just don't like her, we don't like her at all." Humph. Little Bean was throwing a tantrum. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and pretended to hit someone. "Little Bean, Lord Su is already so old. Do you really want your Uncle Su to be single forever?" Su Yu smiled as he touched Little Bean's chin. Pudding glanced at Su Yu coldly. "No one is stopping you from finding a girlfriend. I thought you should at least find someone suitable for you. A few days ago I was asking Dad about Auntie Qin Ning. I knew she was single, so I wanted to wait for her to come back so I could set you up with her. But you're such a disappointment. You just have to find a female celebrity. Plus, I know you don't like that woman at all, but you still pretend to like her. You're just putting on an act for everyone to see. There's only one reason why you're doing this." Pudding paused for a moment. "Sis, what's Handsome Su's purpose?" Little Bean was confused. Chapter 1852. My goal is to make Daddy and Mommy happy, so that Mommy won't have to worry about Handsome Su anymore. But what a stupid thing to do. My mommy is Huamin. With her IQ, there's no way she can't guess. So what you're doing is meaningless. Handsome Su, when you're being childish, you're really like a child. Even your IQ is lower than Little Bean's. Hey, it's none of my business. I'm not taking the blame for this," Little Bean immediately clarified. Su Yu's face turned pale upon hearing Little Bean's words. "Hey, Little Bean, you're pushing your Uncle Su to his death. You're so young, how can you have so many ideas?" Su Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If these words were said by someone else, he would be very angry and offended. But when it came from Little Bean, the meaning was different. Little Bean and Little Bean were both children that he loved dearly. They were almost like his own daughters. He never got mad at them, and he didn't even have the heart to criticize them. When Huamin was teaching them a lesson, he still defended them, putting Uncle Su as an adult. What he chooses is his own business. You have no right to judge him. Qin Chu knew that Su Yu did this to make Huamin feel at ease. But after his daughter said it out loud, Su Yu really wanted to die. It was so awkward. Pudding, come to Grandma Su. Let's ignore your Uncle Su. Lady Su opened her arms. Pudding obediently walked over and sat on Lady Su's lap. Little Bean immediately moved to Mr. Lord Su's side. "Lord Su, please hug me. I'm not heavy, I'm even lighter than my sister." I'll hug you." Su Yu's father was so amused by Little Bean that he couldn't care less about Su Yu's ridiculous behavior. No one said anything else and just ate in silence. Huamin didn't go to the kitchen to get soup. He just wanted to avoid the awkward atmosphere. However, he didn't expect Jian Tong to follow him in. Huamin didn't say anything. He just held the bowl of soup silently. "Huamin," Jian Tong called out to him. To be honest, Huamin didn't like Jian Tong at all, even though she wasn't as extreme as Emo Schwerer and Song Yisher. But Jian Tong was definitely not that kind of person. Huamin had dealt with her a few times and he didn't like her character very much. "Miss Yiling, what's the matter?" Huamin's smile was very distant. "Lord Su and I are together again. The person I want to thank the most is actually you." Hee, why are you thanking me? I didn't ask Suyu to do that. Huamin smiled faintly. Jian Tong looked at Huamin's handsome face with extreme arrogance. Thank you for being so heartless. You taught him to give up. I'm heartless. Huamin was dumbfounded. Did she abandon Suyu? Or did she cheat on him? Why would she use the word heartless to describe her? If she had feelings for Suyu, then she was the most heartless to Mr. Qin. No matter what, you made us who we are. I used to think that I had no chance of winning, but I didn't think that his 4 years of being with you wouldn't even be enough for you to turn around. So Lord Su is tired. He's a normal man. If he doesn't get a response, he won't follow you around and wag his tail like a dog. You also don't have the right to torture him, so please stay away from Suyu from now on. He's no longer under your skirt. Jian Tong didn't hold back as she looked at Huamin with hostility. Chapter 1853. Miss Jian, let me correct you on one point. I've never abused Suyu and I don't think he's my dog. Please watch your words. To me, Huamin, Suyu is the most important friend in my life. No matter what difficulties he encounters in the future, I, Huamin, will do anything for him. I don't care what happened between the two of you, but please don't try to use moral coercion on me. I don't care what happened between the two of you, but please don't use the word guest under my skirt on me. You're not a good person to say something like that, so I won't blame you. Huamin coldly glanced at Jian Tong's delicate face, which was covered with makeup. Fine, everyone says you're a genius with a sharp tongue. I can't outtalk you. What I want to say is, Lord Su is doing great with me. You don't have to worry about him and you don't have to feel guilty about him. He's doing great and I'll work hard to become Mrs. Su in a short time. After saying that, Jian Tong slammed the soup bowl on the marble table with a loud bang, then turned around. Huamin wasn't in a good mood. She might know why Suyu did what he did, but she didn't think Suyu's actions were rational. Huamin understood that Suyu wanted her to be happy, so that she could live happily with Mr. Qin and his family without any psychological burden or guilt. However, his actions made Huamin's heart ache even more. Huamin suddenly remembered something Jiang Shaowei once said to her. Suyu loved her so much that he was humble. He was so humble that he was willing to do anything for her, as long as he was good to her. At this thought, Huamin's heart began to ache. When she came out of the kitchen, her face was calm again and she served everyone soup. After sitting for a while, Huamin and his family got up to leave. Stay a bit longer, it's still early, Lady Su said reluctantly. Mian, play chess with me. Grandpa Qin looked at Huamin with love in his eyes. Lord Su will play another day. It's getting late, you should rest early. Don't forget to take your blood pressure medicine. Don't be angry, stay in a good mood and get regular checkups. I know you're such a chatterbox. Lord Su chuckled. Suyu, we're going back, Huamin said for the first time that night. As of course, Min glanced at Suyu. Suyu nodded. Hey, be careful. Then he turned around and looked at the twins. Pudding, Little Bean, say goodbye to me. Suyu smiled and waved his hand. Pudding, of course. Mian, little. She glanced at Suyu and wanted to say hello, but Pudding hit her again. So she made up her mind and left. Hey, what's wrong with these two kids tonight? Why are they so rude? For the first time, Suyu was ignored by the twins. This was the first time in 3 years. His heart was filled with a sense of loss. I'm sorry. They're too young to understand. Qin Chu apologized to Suyu, feeling guilty. Oh, it's okay. They're only angry for a while, they'll be fine. I'll send Pudding a WeChat message. Suyu smiled. Qin Chu nodded. Be careful on your way back, drive slowly, Suyu said politely. Qin Chu nodded again and said goodbye to the Su family. Mom, Dad, Grandpa, we're leaving too. Seeing Huamin and the others leave, Suyu didn't want to stay at home for a second longer. He grabbed his jacket and was about to leave. Wait, I have something to talk to you about. Lady Su glanced at her son and called him to the pantry on the first floor. Jian Tong, on the other hand, was sitting on the couch in the living room, playing with her phone and scrolling through Weibo. She didn't seem to care that the Su family didn't like her. Grandpa Su went upstairs to his study, and Mr. Su wasn't in a good mood either. The driver drove them out to meet an old friend for tea. Mom, what's up? What's going on between you and Jian Tong? What do you mean what's going on? See, you played dumb. Are you two real or fake? Are you putting on a show for Mian? Lady Su asked. Chapter 1854. Mom, Does it make a difference whether it's real or not? I have a girlfriend anyway, isn't the world at peace? Suyu's eyes looked tired, as if he didn't want to talk about his relationship with Jian Tong. How can it be the same? Son, you've been single all these years. You've always stuck to your principles and wanted to find someone you like. Now that things have gotten to this point, how can you give up all of a sudden? Lady Su tried her best to persuade him. What else can I do? I've already left Mion's side. As long as Qin Chu is here, she won't see anyone else. Suyu looked very lonely. But Mion isn't the only girl in the world. You can't give up the entire forest for one tree. Mion is great, but she has a happy family. We can't be the third wheel. Mom, who wants to be the third wheel? You're getting off topic. Suyu held his head. Anyways, the Su family won't let Jian Tong marry into our family. Mom, what are you talking about? What do you mean marry her? Suyu looked at his mother helplessly. Aren't you going to? I'm dating her, not marrying her. I've already thought about it, I'm going to be a celibate. I'll never get married. As for grandchildren, don't worry, I'm just going to make a few for you guys, okay? Huh? What are you talking about? Lady Su was obviously unhappy. I still have things to do, I'm going back to the mansion. Mom, you should rest early. Otherwise you won't be pretty. Then, before Lady Su could say anything, Suyu turned around and left. Lady Su looked at her son's back worriedly. She sighed slightly and went upstairs. What did that brat say? Lord Su came out of the study and asked in a serious tone. I think maybe Mion's incident hit him hard and he's giving up on himself. Giving up on himself, humph. Then tell him not to say that he's a member of the Su family. He's a disgrace to the Su family. Also, tell him not to let me see that girl in the house. Master Lord Su's face was filled with anger as he returned to his room with his hands behind his back. Lady Su was left in a dilemma. The old one was angry and the young one was disobedient. How great would it be if Mion was really his daughter-in-law? He didn't know when Lady Su had developed such greed. On the way back, the twins didn't say a word. They seemed very unhappy. Huamin knew that they were still angry about what had happened between Suyu and Jian Tong. Pudding, you went a little overboard today. You shouldn't have said that to Uncle Su. He's always loved you and Little Bean. He'll be very sad if you talk back to him like that, Huamin scolded. Then what should I say? Should I say that his new girlfriend is beautiful? Was she praising them for being a good match? That's not my style. Pudding wasn't in a good mood as she looked out the window and answered her mother's question. What I mean is, your Uncle Su is an adult and he has his reasons for his decisions. You're still kids, so you shouldn't be so rude. Today you said those things in front of so many people. Uncle Su will be very embarrassed. Huamin slowed down his tone, trying to persuade Pudding. Otherwise, the Su family would think that she didn't teach her daughter well. Aren't you embarrassed by what handsome Su did? Pudding asked. Chapter 1855. Pudding's words left Huamin speechless. As expected, even Huamin couldn't deal with this little girl. Huamin knew he couldn't win against his daughter. He immediately looked at Qin Chu, who was driving as if asking for help. Qin Chu understood and glanced at Pudding through the rearview mirror. Pudding, what Mommy means is, Uncle Su's business is the Su family's business. We can't poke our nose into everything. That would be rude. No matter how good a friend is, there should be a bottom line, right? Daddy, I understand now. Handsome Su probably thinks we're meddling in his business. But I really didn't expect him to do something like this. I'm a little sad. Be a good girl. Uncle Su might have taken things too hard. He might not do it in a few days. We have to give him time. Don't be sad. Daddy's here for you. Okay, Daddy. I want to go out to sea tomorrow. Can I? Pudding was still a child. When she was in a bad mood, she knew she wanted to see the sea. Sure, Daddy will take you tomorrow. Thank you, Daddy. Pudding's face finally brightened up. Pudding, who had always been known as a glutton and cute, didn't say anything. She didn't even want to interrupt. Pudding, we're going out to sea tomorrow. Are you happy? You have to dress up. Daddy will take some beautiful photos of you guys. Qin Chu gently coaxed his little daughter. Daddy, I'm a little tired. I don't think I'll go. You take Pudding. Pudding was even more depressed. Qin Chu, Pudding, Daddy will make a lot of delicious food on the cruise. There's also fresh salmon sashimi and your favorite tuna sushi. Those are Daddy's signature dishes. You'll regret it if you don't eat them. Huamin tried to tempt her with delicious food. Mommy, am I just a glutton in your eyes? Pudding looked up and asked. Chin Chu, Huamin, no little bean, you're the best in Daddy and Mommy's hearts. You and your sister are our pride, Chin Chu comforted her patiently. If that's the case, then don't try to talk me out of it. I'm really not in the mood. But I thought handsome Sue loved me and my sister. I didn't expect him to have a change of heart so quickly. He even found a pretentious bitch. But I'm so annoyed. I'm not going to talk to handsome Sue anymore. I'm so sad. Chin Chu and Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Daddy, don't talk her out of it. Since little bean is in such a bad mood, let her stay with Grandma tomorrow. We can go out and play. I want Daddy to teach me how to fish. Pudding interrupted. All right, it's decided then. Wait a minute, aren't you going to persuade me? You're giving up just like that? Little bean immediately perked up. I tried to persuade you, but you wouldn't listen. Since that's the case, you should stay at home and have some peace. You did it on purpose, didn't you? I did. Are you going to bite me? As they talked, the two sisters started to fight again, giving Huamin a headache. Chin Chu could tell that Huamin was tired. With one hand on the steering wheel, he put his other hand on the back of Huamin's hand. Are you tired? Hang in there, we're almost home. Don't worry about Suyu. I don't think he's a reckless person. There must be other reasons. I'll talk to him when I have time, Chin Chu comforted. I know. Honey, don't worry about me. I'm really fine. Huamin smiled. On the other side, Suyu and Jiantong drove back to Suyu's mansion. As the two of them walked into the forest, a few faint flashes of light came from the bushes not far behind them. Jiantong walked behind Suyu. When she turned around, she had a smug smile on her face. It's getting late. I'll get someone to take you home. Suyu was exhausted and didn't even look at Jiantong. President Su, I'm willing to continue acting with you. Jiantong looked at Suyu affectionately and said. Chapter 1856. One scene is enough. Suyu was in low spirits, so his voice was much softer than usual. To be honest, today's scene was really tiring, even though he owned a film and television company. But acting wasn't his forte. Huamin is so smart. If we just do one scene, he'll probably see through us. Then everything we've done before will be meaningless. So you didn't say anything? Jiantong carefully took 2 steps forward. President, I'm not afraid of trouble. I'm willing to act with you. I'll stop whenever you tell me to. I won't pester you. Why do you have to do this? Suyu felt sorry for himself, so why was Jiantong even more pitiful than him? Really, I'm doing this willingly. I don't have a boyfriend right now, and President Su, if you act with me to create a scandal, it'll improve my career, so why not? I won't lose anything. Please don't feel burdened. Suyu still didn't say anything. He just sighed slightly. There's something I want to tell you. You'll probably be very angry, Jiantong said softly. What is it? I got a reporter to follow me. I'm going to expose it tomorrow morning. Suyu, President Su, if you want to scold me, you can order them to return the negatives. After all, I planned this myself. Jiantong made herself sound very wronged and took the initiative to clarify this time. Because of this, even if Suyu wanted to scold Jiantong, he didn't know how to say it. Jiantong was very smart. Forget it. It doesn't matter. After all, I brought you home in such a big way, so the media probably took pictures of it. President Su, can I not go back tonight? If I stay overnight, it'll be more believable. Of course, don't worry, I won't do anything to you. I'll sleep downstairs and won't disturb your rest. Do whatever you want. I'm a little tired. Suyu wasn't in the mood to continue chatting with Jiantong, so he got up and walked upstairs. Jiantong seemed to be used to Suyu's indifference. She was even a little surprised that she finally had this opportunity. After all, she really wanted to thank Huamin. Without Huamin's provocation, President Su probably wouldn't have thought of using her as a cover. But no matter what, this was what Jiantong wanted. She rested in the bedroom downstairs. It didn't feel strange at all. She used the bathroom casually. After Suyu went upstairs, he didn't come down again, nor did he say another word to Jiantong. The next morning when Jiantong went downstairs, Jiantong had already prepared breakfast. President Su, there's only fried eggs and toast in the fridge, so I made some fried eggs. I hope you don't mind. I'm not eating anymore. Suyu was still in low spirits. Seeing Suyu not eating, Jian Tong stopped eating. She picked up her coat and followed him out. However, before they even arrived at the company, the news on their phones was already overwhelming. President of Imperial Star, Suyu, was suspected to have gotten back together with his ex-girlfriend Jian Tong. They spent the night together at his mansion and their relationship was exposed. When Huamin was eating breakfast in the morning, his phone kept popping up. Zhu Lingling, Mian, what's going on with Lord Su? Jian Tong? Oh my god. I don't like that little bitch. Jiang Xiaowei, what's going on with Lord Su? Is it true that he's with Jian Tong? Dino? And I Yang, sis. The company is saying that Jian Tong and President Su got back together, is that true? I think it's on the headlines. Huamin picked up his phone and was about to reply when Pudding threw her phone on the floor, full of emotions. Pudding, what's going on? Qin Chu looked at his eldest daughter in confusion. That woman must have done something as shameful as exposing their relationship. Handsome Su wouldn't do something so high-profile now. That despicable woman. Pudding seemed to have a lot of animosity towards Jian Tong. She was sure that Jian Tong was behind everything. As for Handsome Su, he was just being used. Chapter 1857. Qin Zhaozhao, didn't I tell you that you shouldn't bring your personal feelings to the dinner table? Huamin was clearly angry. I just can't stand that scheming bitch using Handsome Su, Pudding said angrily. That's Su Yu's business, it has nothing to do with you. You're just a junior and have no right to comment on this. Plus, you're throwing a tantrum at home. Who gave you the right to be so willful? Although Huamin loved his daughters, he didn't want them to be spoiled. Therefore, he would reason with the twins and establish his authority. Yesterday at the Su mansion, Pudding and Little Bean teamed up to attack Su Yu and Jian Tong. Huamin tried his best to tolerate it. He only educated them and didn't say much. However, when the news came out today, Pudding lost her cool and even smashed her phone. Huamin was completely enraged. Mommy, this is just too angry. After all, Handsome Su crossed the line this time. Seeing that her mommy was really angry, Little Bean immediately spoke up for her sister. Shut up. This is none of your business. We're talking to your sister. Huamin was furious. Pudding pouted and lowered her head, not looking at Huamin. She seemed to be angry as well. Qin Chu stood up and was about to pick up the phone that Pudding had smashed. However, Huamin scolded him. Honey, don't touch it. Let her pick it up herself. Forget it, Mian. She's still a child. Qin Chu really cared about his daughter. No, this isn't up for discussion. If I don't control her this time, I can't guarantee that she'll cause more trouble in the future. If you love me and our daughter, don't interfere. Qin Chu was speechless. Huamin's words completely shut Qin Chu up. He looked at Pudding helplessly. Then he looked at Little Bean. Little Bean immediately gave her daddy a look. Then she whispered, Daddy, forget it. Mommy is really angry. Scary. Let's keep quiet. Qin Chu knew that Huamin wanted to educate the child, so he resisted the urge to pick it up. At this moment, Pudding's eyes were already filled with tears. They welled up, but they didn't fall. It was obvious that she was holding it in. Pudding and Little Bean had very different personalities. Little Bean had a sweet mouth and knew how to coax people. Even if she did something wrong, she would immediately apologize. But Pudding was different. She was calm, smart, and even a little arrogant, so she rarely made mistakes. Even if he did something wrong, his pride wouldn't allow him to admit his mistake so easily. After Huamin scolded her in front of the whole family, Pudding immediately felt embarrassed. Qinzhao, hurry up and pick up the phone. Huamin repeated in a serious tone. Sis, hurry up and pick it up. Mommy is really angry. She's not joking, Little Bean tried to persuade her sister. After 3 seconds of silence, Pudding got off the stool and walked over slowly with her head lowered. Then she picked up the phone with one hand and wiped her tears with the other. Qin Chu was heartbroken to see this, but when he saw Huamin's expression, he didn't want to interfere. He lowered his head and continued to eat without saying anything. Pudding picked up the phone and placed it on the table in front of Huamin. Her attitude was clear. I already picked up the phone, what else do you want? Huamin didn't seem to be done with this matter so quickly. She picked up the rose gold phone from a famous brand, looked at it and slowly said, The screen is broken. This phone cost 5,360 yuan when I bought it, and it's still 2,000 yuan to replace the screen. Qin Zhaozhao, you have two choices now. Either you don't use this phone anymore, or you give me 2,000 yuan right now and I'll get someone to fix it for you. Honey. Qin Chu couldn't hold it in anymore. Honey. Keep eating, you don't have to plead for her. Huamin glanced at Qin Chu. Pudding still bit her lips and didn't say anything. Not saying anything? Are you mute? You don't use the phone anymore, right? Then I'll smash it. After speaking, Huamin picked up the phone and smashed it on the floor again. This action shocked everyone. You're tuning in to the Biao's Wuxiao Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.